I don't know what brought you in. Curiosity, frustration, maybe just looking for something real. But whatever it is, welcome. This space? It's not about sugarcoating or pretending life's perfect. It's about getting honest. About love, relationships, fear, strength, and how we actually show up for ourselves and each other. So pull up a chair, grab a coffee, or just lean in, because we're not playing games here. We're talking truth. The kind that makes you think, laugh, maybe even shift a little inside. You know, some of the old sacred texts, especially from the East, describe family dynamics that would shock most folks today. One example that always sticks with me is the story of Lord Shiva and his wife, Sati. Now, in their tradition, she's seen as the mother of what became the modern people of that region. But the reason behind it? That gets complicated. See, some people, especially when they lose their grip on balance, end up misusing the very tools meant to help them. That's when rules get laid down, not because folks are evil, but because they're reckless. Now, there's this ancient practice, sometimes romanticized, where a woman would follow her husband in death, literally stepping into the fire with him. Sounds extreme, right? I mean, I'm not about to tell anyone to do that. Let's be clear, nobody's doing that today, and nobody should. You'd burn out the gas faster than the grief. But here's the deeper part, the one worth chewing on. Why would a woman willingly walk into the flames? Was it desperation? A death wish? No. It was something else entirely. It was unity. She wasn't running from life. She was running toward a kind of connection most people never experience, being so bonded to someone that even death didn't feel like separation. That takes a level of trust, of courage, that's almost unimaginable today. And here's where it gets personal. We talk a lot about fear, especially fear of losing someone, of pain, of consequences. But the root fear, the one hiding under all the layers? It's the fear of judgment, of paying the price for what we know we've done wrong. That's baked into every one of us. There's this brilliant American psychologist I always refer to, Viktor Frankl. The man survived horrors and still came out with a philosophy built on purpose. He even explored something called endogenous neurosis, how some of our inner turmoil doesn't come from what happens to us, but from what we carry inside. If you're curious, I dropped a link to his work. You'll see what I mean. Point is, fear doesn't just show up out of nowhere. Most of it's rooted in guilt. Deep down, we all know we've got some mess to clean up. And that awareness? It shapes everything we do. I've got a story that fits this whole fear and faith thing a little too well. Happened back when I was in Charleston. Yeah, South Carolina. I was there for some seminar. Nothing fancy. Just one of those programs where people talk about life, meaning, and all that. So I meet this guy, an Indian dude, tall, sharp-looking, like he walked straight off a Bollywood movie set. You don't expect that kind of character to just pop up in Charleston, but hey, life's weird. Turns out he wasn't just passing through. Married to a local woman, running some kind of business, completely settled in. Anyway, we get to chatting after a talk I gave. Something about God and the human mess we carry around. I mentioned that I'm afraid. Like, deep down, gut-level fear of God, not in some poetic way, but real fear. The kind that sticks. And this guy, he just smiles like it's all good. He lifts his hand and says, "Hey, sister, don't be scared of God. He's sweet. He's kind. He's gentle. He loves everyone." Says it like God's this soft grandpa figure with a stick just for tapping flowers, not judgment. And I'm just sitting there, looking out at Charleston, thinking, you have no idea, my guy. You don't know what I've been through, where I've lived, the things I've seen. You don't know the places I've had to crawl out of, or the people I used to run with. You weren't there during the storms, the chaos, the tight corners I almost didn't make it out of. You didn't live through the American 90s, when things got wild and survival came with receipts. You don't know where I served or how close I came to losing everything, including my freedom. You weren't there when I was sitting in back rooms with people who didn't believe in second chances. So when I say I'm afraid, I mean it. And I don't mean it lightly. It's not just spiritual talk. It's survival instinct. Now, did he mean well? Yeah, sure. Maybe he should have said, "You know what? You've got a reason to be afraid." Because I do. That kind of fear doesn't just come from nowhere. It's born from regret, from the shadows of choices I didn't think would follow me this long. And here's the kicker. We ended up agreeing, in a strange way, that whatever force is up there, call it God, the universe, whatever, it's complicated. It gives hope, takes it back, hands you peace, and then flips the table just to see what you'll do next. And in that whirlwind, that original fear sits like a quiet storm inside every one of us. It never really leaves. The worst kind of fear? It's the one you don't talk about. The kind you hide under smiles and small talk. People say, "I'm just not ready." Sounds reasonable. But for what? Ready for love? For commitment? For kids? I hear couples say that all the time. "We're not ready yet." And I'm like, ready for what, exactly? You're married. What more prep do you need? And then they say something about the country, the economy, the uncertainty. And I get it. But honestly, there's never been a perfect time in history to bring a child into the world. Ever. The planet's always been unstable in one way or another. And yet, here we are. We still live. We still love. We still keep going. That's the deal. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You trust that somehow, you'll handle it when it comes. You ever meet someone born in 1943? I always think, how did that even happen? I mean, what were their parents thinking? The world was falling apart. Maybe they were just sitting there, staring at each other, thinking, well, the radio's busted, there's no TV, no internet. What else is there to do? Meanwhile, half the world was on fire and Manhattan in 2001 wasn't exactly quiet, if you catch my drift. But fear? Apparently, they didn't have any. They just had kids. And that's wild to me. I ask people sometimes, "What year were you born?" Someone says, 1974. And I go, cool, go look up what was happening in 74. If your parents had waited for the right time, you wouldn't even exist. Since 74, there hasn't been a single year that wasn't packed with trouble. Maybe a 2-week window in there somewhere where things were calm. But even then, probably a case of the flu floating around or something else nobody wanted. Now that brings me to a whole other thing. Kids. People love to say, "Now's not the time." And look, I get it. Life's hard. But I hear folks say, "Oh, my job is awful. I work like a machine, like a mule. They run me into the ground, and I get paid just enough to keep showing up." And I just want to ask, then why are you still there? If it's so miserable, why are you dragging yourself through it? And here comes the classic answer. It's not the right time to leave. Really? When is the right time? When they fire you? When you snap? When your doctor tells you the job's killing you? Let's be real. Timing is a myth. A smart person is always open to new work, even when their current job's decent. But we've been fed this old school thinking. I've got a job now, so I'm set till retirement. Like it's some kind of sacred contract. Nah. Nobody stays at one job for life anymore. That era's gone. Then someone pipes up. Well, I finished school, started working here, and I never left. And I go, why not? Because the truth is, that's not stability. That's getting stuck. That's fear in a fancy outfit. I've switched careers. More than once. And every time, it felt like jumping out of a plane without knowing if the parachute would open. But guess what? I'm still here. And better for it. Now, here's a fun one. Someone once asked, "What does your wife do?" I smiled and said, "She works as my wife." And let me tell you, that job? It's no joke. That's full-time. That's unpaid overtime. That's love, stress, logistics, crisis management, and soul maintenance all rolled into one. The idea that there are households where the man works and the woman does nothing? That's a dangerous, outdated fantasy. There is always work being done in a real family, even if it's not on some company payroll. So yeah, maybe it's time we stop pretending that there's a perfect time to start anything. Have the kid. Change the job. Take the risk. Life doesn't wait, and stability's a moving target anyway. You know, I was talking to someone the other day about this couple. Small business types. They've got some kind of operation going, LLC something or other, sounds fancy. Invest bank. Maybe? Who knows? The guy, let's call him Mike, says to his wife, "You don't do anything all day. Just sit there with the papers while I'm out here actually doing the real work." He's the one sewing, building, hands-on, grinding. Thinks he's the backbone, right? The proletarian. The muscle. And she's just counting the money. But that's where folks miss the point. Just because the work doesn't look the same doesn't mean it's not equally important. It's like the military. You can't run a whole army with just paratroopers. That's not how war works. You don't just drop every soldier from a plane and win the day yelling and kicking down walls. Nah, there are engineers, signal teams, logistics crews, radar operators, all kinds of specialized people you never see in the movies. Office rats, trench diggers, quartermasters, none of them flashy, but without them, the whole system crumbles. That's how a family works too. You see, the husband, he might be the loud one, the fighter, the airborne guy. Jumps in, takes hits, breaks walls. But if there's no one back at home keeping track of the gear, feeding the troops, managing the base, he's toast. No one's handing him his boots. No one's keeping inventory on socks and bandages. And when he comes back home with broken ribs and that wild look in his eye, someone's gotta patch him up, pour whiskey in the wound, or tea in the mug, and say, "You made it." That's the wife. She's the quartermaster, the medic, the strategist, the political officer, the entire support team wrapped into one. Sometimes, yeah, she just sits there like she's doing nothing. But she's like a backup generator. You don't notice it until the lights go out, and then it's the only thing keeping you alive. And if she hasn't snapped after 20 years of doing all that quiet work, that doesn't mean she's empty. That means she's loaded with fuel and grace. It means she's steady. It means her engine is sitting there, soaked in oil, ready to roar if it ever had to, but choosing not to. And believe me, you don't want it to start. Because if it does, it means something's broken. Really broken. A wife in a good family isn't just sitting around. She's holding the whole damn thing together. And that, my friend, is one of the most underrated, powerful roles anyone can have. So here's the version my wife tells it, and honestly, I had to speak up about it. You hear it all the time. "We're not ready. Now's not a good time." No time for yoga. No time for rest. No time for real things that matter. We keep saying we're too busy for everything, like the clock is the villain. But here's what really happens. People start postponing the most important things in life. They convince themselves they'll get to it later. They tell themselves it's not urgent. And then what do? They fill their lives with distractions. They invent priorities. They create a fake sense of responsibility around things that don't actually matter. A woman, for example, might throw herself into some big career plan. And hey, nothing wrong with ambition. But sometimes she'll chase down 4 degrees, back to back, like she's trying to stack diplomas high enough to climb out of dealing with life. You know what I mean? I remember this discussion once. It was supposed to be about family. Real talk. But then everyone started talking about business opportunities instead, shifting the focus away from what really counts. And let's not pretend men are innocent in all this either. Some guys, me included at times, we tolerate stuff we probably shouldn't. Like when a man shrugs and says, "Yeah, my wife nags. It's fine. I'm used to it. She nags in the kitchen, she nags in the garage. What's new?" Like it's background noise. But here's the thing. Is he really tolerating her, or is he just avoiding change? Has he settled into being passive, just drifting through life while resentment builds? Is he letting himself live like a loser, stuck in the fog of his own excuses? Because when a man just lies down and takes it, when he listens to that same dry, drained voice complain day in and day out, and calls that normal, that's not endurance. That's surrender. That's giving up. And the saddest part? He could stand up. He could shake off that dust and try to become someone better. It would be tough, sure. But so is staying stuck. Either way, you're going to suffer. So why not suffer for something that actually matters? See, people think change is harder than staying the same. But they forget, enduring a soul-sucking life isn't easy either. Both paths require effort. But at least on the first one, you have a shot at becoming someone you can respect. On the second, you're just surviving, and barely. Yeah, it's hard. I'm not saying it's not. But when you've hit that point where you feel too drained to even try, that's when you need it most. Yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes. You're sitting there, knowing deep down exactly what needs to be done. You've read the books, listened to every podcast, watched all the videos, even the ones by that speaker my wife likes. You know the theory. But when it comes time to actually do something with it, you freeze. Someone tries to keep you grounded. Hey, listen to today's talk, there's still more to take in. But your mind's already spinning. You start feeling that tension inside. When faith is missing, you start looking for guarantees. And when there are no guarantees, fear sneaks in. It's not about weakness. It's just human nature. You're scared it won't work out. And that fear? It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you're in the fight. You're still closer to being a good man than you think. Believe me, I've seen less worthy characters trying to pass as noble. So if you're doubting yourself, don't. You're still in the running. Now, here's my version of how things played out. And I'll say it flat out. If it weren't for my wife, I probably wouldn't be half the man I am now. Would I have figured some of it out on my own? Maybe. But I doubt it. It was her steady push, her stubborn belief, that kept dragging me past my comfort zone. That brings up something big. Something we don't talk about enough. A woman, especially one who's scared about the future, she'll often push a man harder than he thinks he can go. And that's not a bad thing, if it's done right. See, a woman's unspoken role in a relationship? It's to challenge her man just enough to make him grow. Not push him off a cliff. Not rip him apart. But stretch him, just a bit past his limit, just enough that he has to expand. Now, if her fear runs too deep, she might go overboard. I've seen it happen. She's scared of being stuck, scared of failure, so she starts demanding the impossible. Like asking a tile layer to buy a 7-bedroom house in New York this week. And the guy's standing there thinking, I've got 3 options. Ditch her, lose my mind, or sign up for a mortgage so big it'll outlive me. All because she panicked. Not because she's cruel, because she's afraid. So here's the key. Don't ask for the moon. Ask for something just beyond today's reach. Nudge him, don't crush him. If you keep pushing him a little past what he believes he can handle, he'll start to grow. Slowly, steadily, he'll rise to meet the challenge. And in the long run, she'll get exactly what she needs, and so will he. I think I said it pretty clearly. Let me tell you something hard to admit. There are a couple of sure signs that a relationship is going nowhere. The first? It's when you're offered something real, like commitment, like a future, and you say all the right words. Yes, of course. I'm ready. But right after that you toss in, just not right now. And you mean it. That hesitation, that delay, is a red flag wrapped in a polite excuse. What are you even thinking at that point? You standing up for yourself? Or are you just scared to move forward? Are you waiting for perfect conditions, like loyalty to some bigger cause, or just afraid of messing it up? Because deep down, what you're doing is stepping away from something real and pretending it's noble. Second sign? When someone says they still need to learn before they can commit, love, build something. Like love requires a college degree. I've heard it all before. I'm only in my 2nd year. Or, I'm still trying to figure life out. And look, learning is good, but when it's used as a reason to stall out, it becomes just another excuse. I studied while raising a family. I worked in places I didn't choose. I've done my time in life's classroom, and I still wanted a real life. I didn't wait for the stars to align. I had dreams, yeah. I wanted a partner, someone who loved me not because I was perfect, but because we were in it together. Some folks wait around, hoping things will magically get better. hoping the president, or some promised future, will fix things. But nothing changes if you don't. People sit around saying, he promised this, she promised that, just wait, it'll all be fine. No. If you're banking on change coming from the outside, you'll be stuck waiting forever. And then, there's that deep craving some women carry, to feel safe, needed, chosen. To believe that once a child comes along, he'll stay. That if she gives him everything, he'll never leave. That if she becomes irreplaceable, he'll see her. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the guy does stick around, gives the baby his name, tries to build something. But even then, the fear doesn't go away. The question always lingers. Will he really stay? Or am I just hoping too hard? And I hear this from women all the time. I'll serve him so well, he won't find better. But that's not love. That's desperation in disguise. That's giving everything just to avoid being left behind. And men? Let me be blunt. Most don't sit around feeling guilty. That's not how we're wired. We feel responsibility, sure. But guilt? That's a different beast. Women carry that weight more often than we do. Men usually shake it off, bury it, move on. Some of us are grateful. Some of us forget. But rarely do we sit in shame the way women do. That's why I tell women, don't expect guilt to hold a man in place. Don't build your life on hope that he'll feel bad and stay. He probably won't. And if he does, it won't be for the right reasons. Everyone's got a past. Everyone's got something they regret. A bad decision, a first time they'd rather forget, an old memory that's stuck in the back of their mind like a sad punchline to a joke no one asked for. But living in those moments doesn't help anyone. You can't build a life with someone still staring at the rearview mirror. Alright, that's enough truth for today. If any of this hit home, good. That means you're still awake inside. And if it made you uncomfortable, even better. Growth doesn't show up with flowers. It shows up with friction. But don't stop here. What's coming next? It cuts even deeper. We're diving into the stuff most people are too afraid to say out loud, but I'm saying it. So if you're ready for more, hit that next video. Trust me, it only gets more real from here.